Okay, very good afternoon to all of you. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I
Yes,
hope
sir.
slides are visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in the today's class, we are going to discuss the traveling wave tube. Okay, so next topic is traveling wave tube. Last class we went through magnetron, and in this class we are going to study the traveling wave tube. So traveling wave tube, it is one of the conventional tube you can say. So that can be used for widely used for amplifier, microwave amplifier, and it can also be used for the oscillator. Okay. While we have seen we were seeing the klystron amplifier or reflex klystron, which can be used for the oscillator. So klystron can be used for amplifier as well as oscillator. When we use for oscillator, that is a single cavity klystron, and that is also called as a reflex klystron. Although we are having two cavity klystron that is used for the amplifying purposes. So micro as used as microwave amplifier. So traveling wave tube is invented by Rudolf Kampfner, that is in 1944. Okay, and TWT is the acronym for the traveling wave tube, and you can say traveling wave tube is a high gain, okay, and low noise, wide bandwidth microwave amplifier. Okay, so TWT can be also be used as an oscillator and can also be used for the microwave amplifier, and they are widely used for the power amplifier and oscillator in radar system, communication satellite, like we are using in the radar system, communication satellite, spacecraft transmitter, or electronic warfare system. Okay, so these are the application for this TWT, and there we can use as a power amplifier or as an power generator you can say, or power oscillator you can say, oscillator we can use. So there are two types of traveling wave tube. We are having the helix traveling wave tube and a coupled cavity traveling wave tube. Okay, so these are two widely used. In that helix TWT we will see. Okay, on coupled traveling wave tube, that is also you can see, refer the book if you want, you can go through this, but we will try to focus on helix traveling wave tube, and it is widely used as a microwave amplifier. So for broadband application, the helix traveling wave tube are mostly used. Okay, where as for high average power purposes such as radar transmitter, okay, and coupled cavity TWT are commonly used. Okay, are also commonly used for the different purposes. Okay, so now you can see the helix TWT produces most up to several kilowatt. So most you can say produces power at most up to several kilowatt. So let's say it is providing 10 kilowatt average power. So helix TWT provided 10 kilowatt of average power. Okay, but coupled cavity are also used for the high power application, so that can be used for more high power. If you want to have a power greater than 10 kilowatt, so we can use helix coupled cavity TWT. Okay, now these are the differences, few differences between the TWT and the klystron. So traveling wave tube and klystron we have already seen, so that will be easy for us to analyze. So we can see we have the microwave circuit. Okay, so which is in non-resonant mode, that is called as a TWT. So if the circuit is non-resonant, okay, and you can see the TWT is having the non-resonant circuit. Okay, so traveling wave tube is having non-resonant, while klystron is having the resonant circuit. So klystron is having resonant circuit. Okay, so there are different types of, I told you that there is a resonant circuit, so resonance behavior it will show, and this will not behaves like a resonant circuit. So this is having non-resonant behavior. And the next is interaction of electron beam and RF field in the TWT is continuous over the entire length of the circuit. So we are having we will see the TWT figure, TWT diagram. In that we will see we are having a tube like a structure, and electron and RF interaction which happens throughout the tube. Like we have a tube, so throughout the tube, this is a helix kind of structure we'll see. So throughout the tube, from this terminal, this side to this side, so interaction will be happened of electron as well as RF field throughout this tube. But in a klystron amplifier, we have seen we had a cathode which is there, and we were having a cavity. Okay, so at the cavity gap, you can say at the cavity gap, we were having interaction between RF field and the RF field which we are providing from this side. So this is the D distance gap of the klystron amplifier. You can say single cavity. If we have a two cavity, so we can say at the cavity only the interaction between electron which is coming out from the cathode, okay, and RF which is coming from this cavity. So there is an interaction between RF and the electron will be at this distance only. Okay. So, but the interaction in the klystron occurs only at the gap of the few resonant cavity, whatever the resonant cavity we have, or you can say two cavity or one cavity or three cavity or four cavity we have. So, if you have a four cavity, so there will be at the gap only there will be interaction between RF field and the electron. But here throughout the guide or throughout the tube, it is the interaction between the RF field and electron. The wave in the tube is propagating wave. So here the wave is a propagating wave, but in klystron there is no propagating wave. Okay, there is no propagating wave, but here the wave is a propagating wave. Okay. In the coupled cavity TWT, there are coupling effect. So the name suggests that we are a coupled cavity. So there is a coupling, okay, coupling between all the cavities. So there is a coupling effect between the cavities, and in the klystron it operates independently. We have a two cavities, so these two cavities are not coupled. Suppose we have a four cavity klystron, so these four cavities are not coupled to each other. But here we have one line, and you can say the cavities are coupled in the TWT. Okay, if we say this type of coupled cavity TWT. So these are few differences between TWT as well as klystron. Okay, between these two. Now we'll more focus on helix TWT. So we are having helix traveling wave tube. Okay, and this is acronym is helix traveling wave tube. So we are having the helix traveling wave tube, the different major components which is present, or you can say elements which is there. So we are having the vacuum tube, okay, electron gun, okay, magnet and focusing structure, RF input, helix kind of a structure, and RF output and collector. So you can see this figure. This is the you can say the diagram for this helix traveling wave tube which is shown here. So we are having a vacuum tube which is there. Okay, so vacuum tube which is there, tube here it is located, tube, this is the tube which is located here, and after that we have an electron gun. So this thing which is called as an electron gun, and in electron gun we have a heater supply and the cathode terminal. So if we apply some voltage, the ejected electron will coming out from this electron gun, and it is going throughout the vacuum tube. It is going out in the vacuum tube. So now in the vacuum tube also we have a focusing structure, like we have a magnet. So this is the magnetic, you can say electron beam focusing magnet. So there is a magnet kind of a structure. So this is the magnet kind of a structure here, and here also you can see this side also we have a. So due to this there will be a magnetic field, and this magnetic field is responsible to carry out the electron in a axial direction. So this direction it will go, and it will going in this direction. Electron will move throughout the tube. So we have a magnet and focusing structure. We have a RF input. So RF input is coming into the tube. So that is coming from this side. So there's the input, RF input, and RF output which is coming out from the tube. Okay, and in the helix kind of structure, you can say the center of that, or you can say the hollow kind of thing which will get inside this, there will be electron which is traveling in this direction, and it is collected by the collector at this side. Okay, so we are having this kind of RF input, RF output, collector, and the RF input and the helix kind of structure. Please give me 1 minute. Sir, good morning. Hello. Okay. So this is the simplified structure, which is you can say simplified. Okay. So this is the simplified structure, you can say, or diagram for the helix TWT, which is shown here. So in that also, this is basically we can say this is the electron gun which we have, and the RF input coming into the helix tube, and this is the tube kind of structure we have, and slow wave structure, which is this is also called a slow wave structure. I'll come into the slow wave structure later. Okay, but for the time being, just to see this kind of slow wave structure, and we are taking output from this side, and this is a magnet focusing structure, both side the magnet focusing structure which is taken, and the electron which is coming out from this tube, that is collected by the collector, and again collector will be connected to the supply. So a working operation, if we see the working operation, so helix TWT consists of electron gun and a slow wave structure. Okay, we'll come to the slow wave structure. So we are having the electron gun as well as slow wave structure, and the first element, which is electron gun. So electron gun here, it is responsible to give out the electron from this. So electron will be ejected from this side, and it will be injected to the tube. Okay, and this basically this produces and then accelerate, this produces electron, and then electron will be accelerated, accelerate a beam of electron that travels along the length of the tube. So all the electron which is coming out from this will be traveled throughout this. The electron beam is focused by a constant magnetic, so that electron which is coming out from the electron gun, that will be focused, and that will be focused means it will be focused throughout that will not radiate from anywhere, that will not going out from that will not be escaped out. So that will be coming, that will be going throughout this, so that will be focusing, that magnet is called focusing magnetic focusing magnet, or you can say that is responsible to align all the electron in the structure. So now this is also called as a O-type traveling wave tube. This is the last class we were discussing the magnetron. So in the magnetron we went through, we have a M type, that is called cross-filled type, so tube, and this is called O-type traveling wave tube. So O-type traveling wave tube. So O-type is basically called as a linear type traveling wave tube. So this is the one of the category O-type and M-type we have. So in M-type we have a cross-filled, and this is the O-type, so linear. The slow wave structure is either a helical type or a folded backline. So any kind of structure will be there. So this is the slow wave structure. There is a helical shape. This is the basically a structure which is called responsible to give off the slow wave, slow out the wave. So this is called slow wave structure. This can be a helical shape, or this can be a folded backline. I'll come to the folded backline. Okay, so folded backline will be like this. This is the folded backline. Any zigzag kind of structure will also be there. It is also possible zigzag kind of structure. Okay, and it is also possible that is a helix form, that will be also in this form, or you can say this in this form also. Okay, the helix kind of structure. So it can be structure can be a helical type or folded backline. So helix is an essential part of the helix traveling wave tube. This is the important part. It is responsible for all this which is happening here. Okay, it acts as a delay line in which the RF signal travels at near the same speed along the tube of the as the electron beam. So RF signal travels at near the same speed. You can say RF signal which is traveling, or which is traveling with a velocity which is nearly equal to, you can say nearly equal to, as the electron beam speed, the speed of the electron beam. So that kind of a structure which is taken here is to slow out the wave. The wave, in the wave guide, when the wave travels, so the phase velocity of wave, which is greater than velocity of light in the free space, that is greater than c. But if you say this kind of a structure, if you take, your wave will be slowed out. So whatever the wave, which is RF wave, which is coming through this input, it will be slowed down, and it will be going with the direction with the speed, same speed as electron which is traveling in this. Okay, so this is responsible to slow out the wave which is traveling here. So velocity will be reduced of the RF wave. So the applied signal propagates around the turn of the helix. So whatever the signal we have RF input which is applied here, that will be propagated. Okay, that will be propagated around the turns of the helix. So whatever the turn we have, what kind of turn we have, so throughout the turn it will be propagating and produces an electric field. So due to this propagation of the RF field, the electric field will be produces, and electric field axis of the electric field, it will be in the helix, you can say in the axis of the helix. So it will be electric field will be in this direction and directed along the helix axis. So your RF field which is moving in this direction, this helix kind of structure, helix direction, and your field will be electric field will be produces, and that field will be moving in an axial direction. So the axial electric field progress with the velocity. Okay, so progress with the velocity, and that is very close to. So if I say electric field progress with this velocity, and velocity will be very close to the light of the to the light multiplied with, if I say velocity which is you can say of the electric field, you can say, which is going, so that will be nearly equal to velocity of light. So velocity of light is nothing but c, that is multiplied, or c, you can say velocity of light in the medium, so that will be nothing but c by mu r into epsilon r, or you can say it is multiplied by the ratio of helix pitch to the helix circumferences. So helix pitch, I'll tell you what is helix pitch, that is p and divide by helix circumferences. So I'll write here pitch divided by helix circumferences. Okay, so helix pitch, this is the all about helix. So this is helix pitch divided by helix circumferences. If I take the helix, this kind of helix structure, if I take this one, so you can see this is called as a pitch. This is called as a pitch and denoted by P. Okay, and if you take one point from here to here, so it is moving nothing but it is moving in a circle. If you take, it is nearly equal to a circle, this from this point to this point, from point of this pitch, from this to this, it is making like a circle. So if you take this as a d, suppose this distance is called d. Okay, so diameter, you can say this is the diameter of the helix, so that is denoted by d. If I take in a two-dimensional view, so that is nothing but it is going from, it is the p which is from this pitch to this pitch, and it is the d. Okay, sorry, not d, you can say it's called pi d. And pi d, which is what is the pi d? Pi d is nothing but we are having the circumference. Okay, so pi d is nothing but circumference. So what should be this value? So this value is nothing but a square root of we are having p square plus pi d square. So that is nothing but p square plus pi d square. Okay, so if we are having this distance which is called d, so this is nothing but we are having the circumference. Okay, so sorry, not yeah, circumferences. So that will be circumferences, that will be written as a pi d. Okay, it is taking one complete, you can say, rotation. So it is circumferences, and we are having a square root of pi square plus d square. So if I say that is an approximation that was taken for the circle, that was taken for the circle. So circle having diameter which is called d, if it is taking one circle, that is called pi d, but it is moving in a helix kind of structure. So if you take helix, this approximation is valid, and this approximation is taken. So this hypotenuse, if you take 90 degree of this hypotenuse can be taken as a this length. So this length will be taken as a square root of pi square plus d square. So that was an assumption that we are having pitch and this making a circle. So circle will be a pi d, but if you know the exact length, the exact length can be taken out from this one. So circumference of pitch will be, we are having c. So c, or if you write it in a direct way, so that can be written as mu into epsilon. You know, sorry, mu into epsilon. I'll erase it. So I can write it, this can be written as c divided by square root of mu r into epsilon r, because that was some medium. So we have just divided velocity of light divided by this value. So if you take square root of mu r into epsilon r, and if you want to write that c velocity of light, so that can be 1 by square root of mu naught into epsilon naught. So if you multiply, that can be mu into e epsilon, and mu can be mu naught into mu r, and epsilon can be epsilon naught into epsilon r. So both are same. So this can be written in this form also. And we know what is our pitch. Pitch is nothing but p, and circumference is nothing but square root of p square plus pi d square. Okay, so you can write it in another way also. So that can be written in this way: p divided by square root of mu into epsilon and bracket of p square plus pi d square. Okay, so pi square d square, pi square d square. So that can be pi d whole square or pi square d square. So that is the thing we have. Okay, so or you can say pi d whole square. So axial electric field progress with the velocity, and this electric field having the velocity which is p vpe, denoted by vpe. Okay, so this vpe can be written as p divided by square root of mu epsilon into p square plus pi square d square. That is the velocity. Now when the electrons enter the helix tube, an interaction takes place between the moving axial electric field and the moving electron. So when it travels, when the electron enters the helix tube, so we know the RF input which is coming, so the wave which is having this one, and electric field which is in axial direction. So when the electric field enters into this helix tube, so and electric field was already there in that axial direction, so it will interact with this one. So electric field will be interacted with this one electron. So when electron enters the helix tube, an interaction takes place between the moving axial electric field and the moving electron. So there will be interaction, and due to this interaction we will see what will happen. Okay, so on the average the electron transfers energy to the wave on the helix. So we can say electron transfers their energy when they interact with the electric field. So electron transfers their energy to the RF field. This interaction causes the signal wave on the helix to become larger or stronger. Okay, so signal wave, as soon as the electron will give their energy to the RF field, due to the interaction with the electric field, the signal which is in the RF input, that will be amplified, or you can say signal become larger or stronger due to the gaining of the energy from the electron. Okay, so due to this electric field interaction with the this one, okay, the field which is inside that field is gaining the energy. Okay, and that will become stronger, and that is called amplified output will get from the RF output side. Amplified output will get due to this. So this kind of structure means where we were having the RF input, or you can say RF wave. So in the klystron, the RF was interacted throughout the gap only. So in the gap distance we had a d, and in that gap distance the electron was interacted. But here we are interacting throughout the space, throughout the tube, we are interacting with the RF field, and RF field was speed, the velocity of RF field which is having the velocity which is greater than velocity of light, but the electron which is not be having the greater velocity which is greater than velocity of light. Electron will not have the velocity which is greater than velocity of light. So to have the velocity of the RF wave, or you can say propagating wave, which is equal to this velocity of electron, the kind of a structure we needed, that should be slow down this kind of this RF wave, and the slowdown will happen due to this kind of rotating kind of structure, or the structure kind of this kind of zigzag kind of structure, or folded backline kind of structure. So we will slow down. Okay, as soon as electron reaches from here to here, the RF field will reach from here to here. Okay, so that will approximately be in the same speed, so that interaction can be taken place. Now how the amplification process takes place, and I told you that in the working principle, that was nothing but the interaction, and that is going, I'm going to explain in some you can say broader way. So amplification process, you can see the electrons entering the helix at zero field. So when the field was zero, RF field, you can say field was zero, or the RF field is not there, so electric field will be not there. So if the electric field is zero, so that are not affected by the signal wave. Okay, when the electron entering the helix at a zero field, so electric field is zero, so that will not be affected and that will not be interacted with the signal wave. So our signal wave, which is propagating wave, okay, so electron will be not affected due to this. So those electrons entering the helix at the accelerating field, if the field is accelerating, suppose field is like this way, and we are a positive, we have a negative, we have positive, we have negative, so electron entering the helix to an accelerating field, so we have accelerating is positive, this positive potential, you can say positive field. So accelerating field, the electron will be accelerated, and those entering the helix at the retarding field, that will be decelerated. Okay, so accelerated, decelerated, like modulation takes place. But here modulation is like we have seen the klystron, in the klystron the modulation was a v of t, but depending on the v1 of sin omega t. So there it was depending on that v1 sin omega t, and the modulation was, you can say, modulation was an important role there. Here the modulation is there, but modulation is very less. Okay, very less modulation takes place. So like we have accelerating and decelerating, so very you can say slowish, okay, or you can say we can say less, uh, or little bit less compared to the reflex klystron. So now due to this, we can say the bunching takes place, okay, and bunching of electron takes place, and the electron will move in the bunched manner. So as the electron travels further along the helix, they begin forming a bunch, okay, due to the accelerating and decelerating electron. So they will form a bunch and centered about those electrons which have entered helix during the zero field. So centered about that, centered about that, those who have not gained the gain the velocity or gain the energy, so that will be having uniform velocity which were earlier. Okay, so all the electron which is bunching, that is centered around this zero field. Okay, electron entered the helix during the zero field. Now after the output, at the output side, so all the electron which is collected at the collector site, and it is collected the collector in. So bunching shift the phase by pi by 2, so your 90-degree phase shift will occur. And since the velocity of electron is slightly greater than the axial wave velocity, okay, so electron velocity is greater, okay, than axial velocity, axial wave velocity, so more electron are in the retarding field than the accelerating field. So here you can see the electron velocity is slightly greater than the axial wave velocity. So whatever we have, the wave which is going the axial direction, whatever the wave, or you can say electric field, okay, so that is wave which is going the axial direction, so electron will having the slightly greater velocity, and due to this, the slower, you can say slow wave structure, so most of the electron will be come into the field. More electron will in the retarding field than the accelerating field. So because of this wave, axial wave, which is having less velocity than the electron. Okay, so electron is having greater velocity, and the more electron which is moving, so that will come into the retarding field, and as great amount of energy is transferred from the beam of the electric field, and therefore the amplification of wave is taken place. Okay, if this is not true, if this condition is not true, then we can say excuse me, then we can say the amplification cannot happen if this condition is not true. So we are taking care that this condition can be true, and if this condition is true, the amplification is taken place. So bunch become more compact, and the large amplification of the signal voltage occur at the end of the helix. So we are taking care that the amplification should happen as more and more at the end of the helix. Okay. So the magnet which we are using, the magnet which we are using, this is the magnet which we are using. So this magnet which we are using is and an axial magnetic field to prevent spreading the electron beam as it travels down the tube. So when the electron travels down the tube, it should not spread. It should go into focused manner. It should go into the focused manner throughout the tube. So that this kind of magnet which is used here to focus all the electron, so it should not spread out. Here we are using the attenuator also. So attenuator is placed near the center of the helix and reduces all the wave traveling along the helix to nearly zero, so that reflected wave from the mismatch load can be prevented from reaching the input and causing oscillation. So those electron, because we are using here this helix traveling wave tube is act as a amplifier, so that we should use the kind of structure that should not oscillate. So there should not be more oscillation kind of thing. So mismatch should not happen, so that oscillation cannot take in place. So we are taking care that the whatever you can say whatever the wave which is traveling here, so that should be around the zero field, which is going centered around the zero field. So that centered around the zero field, that means we should have the more bunching of the electron that is taking place, that should be going centered around this the field which is at the zero, which is centered around the bunch electron which is entered at the zero field. Okay, so we are taking care so that the amplification can be taken place, so that we can get accelerated field and decelerated field. Now the bunch electron emerging from the attenuator induces a new electric field with the same frequency, and this field in turn induces a new amplified microwave signals on the helix. Okay, so bunch electron which we are having, so which we induce from the attenuator. You can see in this figure we are having the attenuator here. So attenuator we are using this is the attenuator at the center of this. So center of this we are using the attenuator of the helix. So at this point we are having one kind of we can say one kind of frequency we generate and the new electric field which is there, and that will having the frequency, and that frequency can be used for the amplified frequency. Okay, so that signal which we are getting, that is called amplified signal at the RF output side, and the whatever the electron retarded electron which is coming out from this, that will be collected by the collector. If you see the characteristic of the traveling wave tube, so characteristic of the traveling wave tube says in the characteristic, traveling wave tube is having high gain and the noise is less, and it is having the wide bandwidth which is used as a microwave amplifier, and it is capable of giving the power output, or you can say gain, greater than 40 dB, and power output we are getting as a 10 kilowatt average power. So 40 dB gain which we are getting here with the bandwidth exceeding an octave. An octave means what? Octave means we are having octave is one in which the upper cutoff frequency is twice the lower cutoff frequency. So we are having upper cutoff frequency and the lower cutoff frequency, that is FL and FH. So FH should be equal to 2 times FL. So that is called one octave. Okay. So bandwidth should be greater than an octave. Okay, greater than an octave. So whatever the frequency we have, suppose we are talking about, we are having a bandwidth which is called maybe which is maybe 0.8 gigahertz. Okay, or we can say the bandwidth which we are getting as maybe 0.8 gigahertz or 1 gigahertz. So 1 gigahertz means FL should be equal to bandwidth. If we are having 1 gigahertz, so FH is equal to 2 times FL. We are having FH, we are having FL. So we know bandwidth can be written as FH minus FL. FH minus FL, and FH is nothing but we are having 2 times FL minus FL. So we can say bandwidth is equal to FL. So bandwidth is equal to FL, that is means it is starting from 1 gigahertz. Okay, and FH can be 2 gigahertz. So that should be greater than this. Okay, that is should be exceeding an octave. That is a minimum requirement. So that is our minimum requirement. FH should be minimum 2 gigahertz. It can be 3, it can be 4, it can be 5, it can be 6, but minimum is this one. Okay. So traveling wave tube have been designed for frequency as low as 300 megahertz. So we can use 0.3 gigahertz minimum frequency, and high as 50 gigahertz. So you can use a 50 gigahertz frequency of the traveling wave tube. Okay, that can be used for the that can be used for the spacecraft application or different military applications. So we are having a traveling wave tube which is 0.3 gigahertz to frequency can be ranges from 0.3 to 50 gigahertz. And primarily we were using traveling wave tube in the early when the TWT invented. At that time we were using the as a voltage amplifier. At a time we were using the voltage amplifier, but due to the features or you can say due to the characteristic of low noise and wide bandwidth, now we are using this traveling wave tube for the RF amplifier in microwave equipment. But initially we were using, when it was invented, at a time we were using for the voltage amplification purposes, for the high voltage amplification purposes. Now we are using as a RF equipment, or you can say RF amplifier in microwave equipment, due to the features, due to the you can say due to the characteristic which is we are having a wide bandwidth and a low noise characteristic of this. So TWT amplifier and they are typically capable of developing power up to 10 kilowatt average power. So average power we are getting TWT if we get C. So TWT amplifier provide 10 kilowatt of average power, and for narrow band RF amplifier application, it is possible to use coupled cavity TWT. If we use narrow band means you can say less bandwidth. Okay, if we can use as a wideband also, but if you use narrower bandwidth, so that narrower bandwidth means power should be high. So power is high, so they can deliver up to 15 kilowatt. Okay, some of the book it may go to the 5 kilowatt average power also, but if you see semi Liao, so in the Liao it is given as 10 kilowatt average power. And if you want to use this can be used for the wideband application. This TWT amplifier can be used for the wideband. If you want to use for the narrow band, so for the narrow band we can have the 15 kilowatt power, so more power we can use, and efficiency is around 20 to 40%, which is possible. Okay, this is the physical construction of TWT. This is simplest diagram, or you can say 3D view of the construction of the TWT, which is given here. So we are having the helix, okay, attenuating cover which is here, to attenuator here to here, attenuator which is taken place, and these two are the input which is applied from the RF input which is applied from here, and the RF output which is taken out from here, and the electron beam which is coming out from this cathode electron gun. So electron beam which is going, so you can say focused electron which is going out from there, and we can have the focusing, you can say focusing magnet which is present here, and the collector side which is the electron which is coming out, that will be collected. The electron beam which is coming out from this center, or you can say center of this helix which is coming out, that will be collected at this point. Okay, and this is the electron beam bunching in the helix. So bunching which is taken, how bunching is taken place, so the bunching of this electron which is given here, so that is the bunching of electron which is shown here. Okay, so this is the electron beam which is taken here, so electron beam which is going in the center of this, and the axis of this, the electric field is also in this direction. Due to the electric field, the interaction between the field and the electron which has happened, and RF wave and the electron which happened, and all the energy which is coming out from the electron which is given to the RF field, RF wave. Okay, so that will gain and that will be amplified. So electron beam bunching already starts at the beginning of the helix and reaches its highest expression on the end of the helix. At the end of the helix, that is starting from beginning of the helix when the electron enters, and the highest it will come when the output which is coming from the helix. So from the starting it is taken, so interaction is taken place throughout the tube. Okay, so starting from here and ending at this point, so interaction throughout this helix tube. So in the electrons, if the electrons of the beam were accelerated to travel faster than the wave traveling on the wire, so bunching would occur through the effect of velocity modulation. Okay, so modulation is also taken place, and here acceleration and deceleration of electron can be taken. Okay, so velocity modulation would be caused by interaction between traveling wave field and the electron beam. So due to this interaction, due to this interaction, the electron which is coming into the accelerating field, that will be accelerated, and electron which is coming in the retarding field, that is be decelerated. So that the velocity modulation taken place. Okay, and bunching would cause the electron to give up energy. So if bunching happened, so electron will be giving up all the energy to the traveling wave if the field were of the correct polarity. Okay, so field if in correct polarity, so that bunching will give you the all the energy will be give up, and that bunch, if the energy is give up by the bunch, if energy is given, that velocity will be, velocity of this electron will be slowed down. So if the energy, they give up their energy to the traveling wave, so the electron velocity will be slowed down. Okay, that will be slowed down. Okay, I hope you understand. So slow down the bunches. So bunch will be slowed down, and that will be centered around the field which is coming in the zero field region. The bunch which is coming in the forming in the zero field region. So that will be moving to this. The energy from the bunch would increase the amplitude of the traveling wave in the progressive action, and that would be taken place all along the length of the tube. So from the starting and throughout from the starting, it is bunching taken place, and the interaction between the electron and the wave, traveling wave, which is taken place, and they will losing their energy throughout this vacuum tube, and at the end all the electron lose their energy, and this amplifier, this you can say this wave, the traveling wave, will gain energy progressive action, this throughout the tube. Okay, so the helix may be replaced by some other slow wave structure such as ring bar, or you can say ring loop, okay, or coupled cavity structure, okay, and different types of the folded back kind of structure, and all the structure which is given in the next slide. You can see, I'll show you. The structure is chosen to give the characteristics appropriate to decide gain, bandwidth, and power characteristics. So depends on your applications. Okay, whatever your application is there, you can use according to the application, that kind of structure you can use. So if you are having application, okay, and if you are having, if you want to have the narrower bandwidth, if you want to have the more gain, so you can use this kind of a structure. Okay, so all the structure is having different characteristics. So we are having, we have seen these characteristics in, for the, you can say this is the characteristics for you can say general TWT we have, because generally we have defined. If you go for helix TWT, so helix TWT, their frequency ranges is from 3 gigahertz to 3 gigahertz, or you can say 3 up from 3 gigahertz to higher, and their power is up to 10 kilowatt. Okay, and its efficiency is about 20 to 40%, and bandwidth is around 0.8 gigahertz if you talk about helix TWT. Okay, so all the kind of TWT we have, so all having different type of characteristics. So I'll show you what kind of a structure we have. This is the kind of a structure. This is the helix line we have. This is the folded back line. This is the interdigital line. Okay, then we have zigzag line. Then we have corrugated waveguide. So this kind of a structure we can use. These are the options we have. Ring bar structure. So different kind of a structure we have. Now we are going to see the slow wave structure. So how the slow wave structure is there. So slow wave structure, we have we want to increase the operating frequency. So if we want to increase the operating frequency, so we know if we have a resonant kind of structure, so if we have a resonant behavior, so Fr is equal to 1 by 2 pi root under LC. So that depends on the inductance as well as capacitance, as we have seen in the magnetron. So we are having this traveling wave tube is a having resonant behavior. So we are having the inductance and the capacitance for to have the resonant frequency. So to increase the resonant frequency, or you can say resonant frequency is nothing but operating frequency which we have. So if we increase the resonant frequency or operating frequency, the inductance and the capacitance should be reduced. So both inductance and capacitance in the resonating circuit must be decreased in order to maintain the resonance in the operating frequency. So if you want to have if you want to maintain the resonance at the operating frequency, so operating frequency if you want to reduce, and we let operating frequency, that is operating should be equal to resonant frequency. So if operating is reduced, the resonance should be reduced. Sorry, if operating is increased, sorry, it is increased now. If you want to increase the operating frequency, so resonant will also be increased. If you want to increase the resonant frequency, your L and C consecutive or L and C, it should be reduced, whether it can be L or whether it can be C or it can be both. So it should be reduced because the gain bandwidth product is limited. Okay, so gain bandwidth product ABW, gain bandwidth product is limited by resonating circuit. So if we have having the resonating circuit, the gain bandwidth product is limited. The ordinary resonator cannot generate the large output. So gain bandwidth product is limited, and ordinary resonator we cannot generate. So if we take ordinary resonator circuit, ordinary resonator circuit is having gain bandwidth product which is limited, and gain bandwidth product is what? So you are having this kind of slow wave structure, or you can say helix traveling tube. So in this micro devices, we are having bandwidth which is in gigahertz, or larger, or you can say wide bandwidth we have. So if we increase the bandwidth, their gain will be reduced. So we need gain should also be more, and bandwidth should also be more. So this kind of general we have generally, which we have a resonator cannot use. So we should use the microwave resonating circuit so that our gain bandwidth product should be main. Okay, you know, in any resonator circuit, gain bandwidth product is fixed. If we increase the gain, bandwidth will be reduced. If we increase the bandwidth, the gain will be reduced. So gain bandwidth product which is constant for a particular resonator circuit, if we design one resonator circuit, their gain bandwidth product is same or fixed. So ordinary resonator we cannot use because here bandwidth is more, so that we are using the microwave resonator circuit. Okay, and if we take non-resonating or slow wave structure which are designed, okay, for producing larger gain over a wide bandwidth. So if we use this kind of a structure, if we don't want to use the resonating circuit or microwave resonating circuit, so we can use the slow wave structure instead of resonating circuit. We can use slow wave structure, and slow wave structure which produce larger gain over a wide bandwidth. So gain bandwidth product limitation can be overcome by using the slow wave structure. And you know, just I have explained how the slow wave structure works, how the wave which is going inside and it is slowed down. Okay, so slow wave structure are a special circuit that are used in microwave tube to reduce the wave velocity. Slow wave structure are used to reduce the wave velocity, in certain direction, so that the electron beam and the signal wave can interact. So electron beam which is there and signal wave which is coming from the RF input, they should interact with each other. So this is the structure which is a special circuit, or you can say the structure which is there, a special kind of a structure which is used in the microwave tubes, so that we can reduce, or we can just reduce the velocity of the wave in a certain direction. Okay, so if I'll ask you how you can reduce the wave velocity in so you should take, we can use the slow wave structure or wave velocity in a tube. Okay, so the phase velocity of wave in ordinary waveguide is greater than velocity of light in a vacuum. I told you we have a rectangular waveguide, and we have seen the in rectangular waveguide we had the velocity which is greater than phase velocity which is greater than c, and and the groove velocity which is less than c. So I told you that, which I have explained earlier also, the velocity, phase velocity which is greater than velocity of light in a free space, or velocity of light in a medium. So here the velocity, phase velocity of wave in ordinary waveguide which is greater. So we cannot use the ordinary waveguide. We can use a special kind of circuit, special kind of structure. So that is nothing but slow wave structure. So in the operation of traveling wave, the magnetron type devices. So magnetron type devices, electron beam must keep in step with the microwave signal. Okay, so traveling wave and magnetron type devices. So electron beam which we are taking here keep in step with the microwave signal. So that should interact. In magnetron also which we are seeing the magnetron. So magnetron we were seeing the interaction of this electron, this electric field with the electron. So that bending taken place. Last class I told you. So cathode, we had a cathode and we had a anode kind of a structure. We have anode, and in anode we had a cavity. So anode we had a cavity kind of a structure. Okay, cavity kind of structure, and cavity kind of structure. So in that cavity, when the electron which is traveling from this, so cathode will emit the electron in the axial direction, and the electron will be electron will axial direction, electron will be radial direction. So electron which is moving in the radial direction, this electron will interact with the electron is moving in the radial direction, and electric field is also moving in the radial direction. So this electric field and electron which is interact, and we are having the magnetic field, a strong magnetic field is there, so that it causes the force on the electron, and electron will bend it. Okay, so magnetic field was there, and that was the interaction was taken place. So in the operation of traveling wave, or you can say magnetron type devices, the electron beam must keep in step with the microwave signal, so that should interact. Okay, and electron beam can be accelerated only to the velocity and at about to the fraction of velocity of light, and solar wave structure which is taken here, that should incorporate the microwave devices, so that phase velocity of microwave signal can keep pace with the electron beam for effective interaction. So we just take in a just if you want to explain, just you say there is an interaction in the helix traveling wave tube of electric field with the electron which is taken place, and we are just taking care that the structure which is taken care of, so that it should happen in a proper way. Okay, so there is a periodicity, there is a periodicity kind of thing, and the periodicity in axial direction. So the slow wave structure provide periodicity. Okay, so it should follow the property of periodicity in axial direction, and these are different types of slow wave structure we have. Okay, so this is all about helix traveling wave tube. If you want to know about the traveling wave tube of the you can say, if you want to know about the coupled cavity traveling wave tube, you can go through the coupled cavity traveling wave tube and uh, just go through this, okay, if you want, but that is enough for this. And while I was saying this one, uh, this one, the angle which is this one in front of pitch, you can say this angle is called psi, and this psi is nothing but pitch angle, pitch, pitch angle, and p is called helix pitch, helix pitch. Okay, and d is called diameter of the helix, d is called diameter of the helix. Okay, so just go through this. Now we are having one is backward wave oscillator, and we just simply say backward wave oscillator as BWO also. Okay, so one of the you can say this is come in the group of traveling wave tube only, but backward wave oscillator we have. So backward wave oscillator is special type of vacuum tube. It is used to produce microwave signal in the in the range of terahertz. So frequency, you can see frequency is in terahertz frequency if you want. That may provide a signal of terahertz, and that is an oscillator. So backward wave oscillator we use for the application where terahertz application is there. Okay, so there it can be used, and the frequency which is in terahertz ranges. So backward wave oscillator belongs to a group of traveling wave tube that generate oscillation at microwave frequencies, and that frequency can be a terahertz frequency, and that come in a group of TWT only. So backward wave oscillator are also known as carcinotron, also called as a carcinotron. The name of this backward wave oscillator is also called as a carcinotron. So in both backward wave oscillator and traveling wave tube, okay, so they both belong to the same group, and so the principle of operation is almost same for both the tube. So these two shows the variation regarding the construction, structure, and operating characteristic. So their characteristics is different, Characteristics means their frequency, you can say frequency ranges, bandwidth, gain. Okay, so all these characteristics which we have discussed, characteristics is different. Okay, but there is construction structure is also different, but we can say the principle of operation both are same. So there is structure and operating characteristic both are different, only the principle of operation which is same here. Okay, so that is all about a backward wave oscillator. If you want, you can go through the O-type uh, tube characteristics, or you can say the 1 minute. We are having a linear beam tube, like it is called as a O-type tube. So we can also just go to the classification of linear beam tube. Linear beam tube, that is also called O-type tube. O-type tube, and it can be classified into the two kind of structure, that is called, one is cavity kind of structure, cavity. Okay, that is a cavity which is having cavity, and another is slow wave structure, slow wave structure. So whenever slow wave structure will come, just keep in mind slow wave structure will interact with the field. Okay, so electron which will interact with the field. So we are having this cavity can be of resonant kind of structure. So this resonant behavior will give you the resonant kind of structure, resonant kind of structure, and this resonant will give you the klystron amplifier, klystron. And this klystron can be also classified reflex klystron. If you take a special, so that can be reflex klystron. Now if you see the slow wave structure, we are having the slow wave structure that is of two types, that is the forward wave and backward wave. Forward wave and the backward wave. So backward wave, we have backward wave amplifier and as well as backward wave oscillator. So both can be taken, backward wave amplifier, backward wave oscillator. In the forward wave, we are having helix TWT, helix TWT. We are having helix TWT and the coupled cavity TWT. And in that we can discuss coupled cavity TWT. And if you see helix TWT, so helix TWT will have, okay, so this helix TWT, if you go take slow wave structure only, but you just take cavity which is coupled, and we can say this kind of structure is called coupled cavity. Okay, so this is all about this one, the O-type tube. You can if you want, you can refer this classification in page number 336 of Samuel Liao book. You can go through this. So I'll stop here. Next class I am going to discuss the topic which is solid state amplifier and oscillator, like we have discussed microwave bipolar transistor. Okay, if you have any doubt, please let me know. Okay, if you have any doubt, please let me know, otherwise I will stop here. Okay.